Welcome to Sports Banner. Tonight we're talking about soccer. I'm Calvin, your host, here with Luca and Bryce. Luca's going to take the main stage for tonight, so Luca, you want to go ahead and take it away?
Yeah, I liked that. Awesome intro right there. This week in soccer, we're mainly going to look back in the big matches from the past week on the top 5 leagues from Europe. Nothing's going on in America right now, so there's no need to mention them, besides a friendly game that I think Calvin will cover. So, let's get started in Italy, which is for people like Bryce who don't know anything about soccer, Italy's league is called Serie A. So, there was a big game between Lazio and Atalanta. Lazio beat Atalanta 3-1. Pretty impressive win from them. And then besides that game, there weren't that many big ones. And the big league leaders, AC Milan, won an important game. They're in first place right now. Second place is Inter, third's Roma, fourth is Juventus. But the big news in Italy is actually to do with the Coppa Italia, which is like their cup kind of competition, and which is a tournament basically. And there was a big quarterfinal last Tuesday. It was the Milan derby. So it was Inter Milan versus AC Milan. AC Milan played a decent game. Zlatan Ibrahimovic scored a very good goal before the end of halftime. And before the end of halftime, or not before the end of halftime, before the end of the first half, there was a pretty big fight between Lukaku and Ibrahimovic, where both players got yellows. That may not seem like a huge deal, but it was, because in the second half, Ibrahimovic got a second yellow and he got a red card, so he's out of the game. The referee calls, I will not be biased, so I'm a big Milan fan, so I'm not going to bring up the referee calls in the game. But Milan did play very rash, they had a couple of stupid challenges that eventually cost them a game because Christian Eriksen scored a great free kick from outside the box to win the game for Inter Milan. It was 2-1. It stinks because Milan's goalie, Tatarusanu, I think that's how you pronounce it, had an incredible game, and it really hurt seeing him get scored on. But it was a good win from Inter. And today was the semifinal on one side of that cup. It was Inter Milan versus Juventus. Juventus is like the most dominant Italian team from the past 10 years. And Juventus won today, 2-1. Cristiano Ronaldo scored both goals. So that's it in Italy. Moving on.
I have a question, Luca.
Yeah.
So how is Juventus the most dominant Italian team?
They've won the league every single year for the past almost 10 years.
Oh damn. Okay.
And the reason
Ronaldo?
Ronaldo's only been there since 2017. The main reason is because a lot of other Italian teams have just choked, and that Juventus is really, really good in getting players for either free or for cheap. Soccer transfers are really different than NFL or NBA.
Yeah, what's important to understand,
Gotcha.
Bryce, is that overseas in Europe and in most soccer leagues around the world, there's not much parity at all in big soccer leagues. Like in England, there's about 5 or 6 teams that compete annually at the top of the table. And, I mean, in Italy, there's maybe 2 teams, 3 that are really in the competition each year.
Yeah.
So it's mostly because there's no salary cap of any sort. Teams can just take the money they have and invest in better players. So it's just you're going to see teams like Juventus that win almost every year in some cases.
Basically, the big thing that the big teams have to worry about is whatever they buy, they also have to sell. They can't be in the negative each year. It's called financial fair play. It's a really hard thing to explain. I don't even understand all of it. And Calvin, neither did Manchester City apparently, or whatever. But that doesn't matter. Anyways, moving on to Ligue 1. I don't really care about the French league, to be honest, but there was a massive upset. I believe it was 18th place Laurent beat, if I'm pronouncing that right, beat PSG 3-2. And the only 2 goals that PSG scored were penalties by Neymar. This is their first loss underneath their new coach, Pochettino, who also coached at Tottenham and I believe Southampton. So that was a massive loss, and it could be one that hurts their title chances. Like a lot in Serie A, PSG is the most dominant team in France. It's not even close. There's more competition in Italy than France. Pretty much the only French team is PSG. and they're not even in first. The first place team is Lille with 48 points. Second place is Lyon. Third is PSG, and fourth is Monaco. But the important thing to remember is that the point total between those four teams is very, very, like, the difference is very small. It's only between, like, a couple points, so the league is still anyone's. Anyways, moving on to a personal favorite of mine, Bundesliga. That is the German league. The most important game from the past week there was two frustrating teams to watch. They're very inconsistent, but when they're good, they can beat anyone. And that is Bayern Leverkusen and RB Leipzig. Leipzig have shown before that they can beat anybody, especially in Champions League when they beat Atletico Madrid and they almost beat PSG. Leverkusen, they're interesting to watch. They lost their best player to Chelsea the past year, Kai Havertz, but their replacements have been good too. Earlier in the season, both teams could have been a good challenge to Bayern Munich to winning the title, but their form's been dipping a lot. But anyways, back to the game. Nkunku, I think that's how you pronounce it, he scored, and that was the winning goal. It was like in the first half, I believe. Leipzig won 1-0. Personally, I would just want to mention Dortmund finally won a game. They've had bad form recently, but they beat Augsburg, so that leaves the table looking like in first place is Bayern Munich. They're a lot like Juventus and PSG. They pretty much win the league every single year. Second place is RB Leipzig. Third place is Calvin's team, Wolfsburg. Fourth place is Eintracht Frankfurt. Also, briefly mentioning Dortmund, they beat Paderborn today in like the German Cup 3-2, and of course Haaland scored the winning goal there. He is just a tank. Moving on, hopefully this is not going too long. Moving on is the English Premier League. This is by far the most popular league in soccer, in my opinion. Over the past week, there was a shock win from Sheffield United. They beat Manchester United 2-1. That hurts Manchester United because they want to be in first place very badly, and they choked. This was a massive choke. Sheffield is dead last, or was dead last while that game happened. So yeah, another big game was Liverpool versus Tottenham. Going into it, I thought Tottenham might pull a little bit of a shock and at least tie Liverpool, because the form Liverpool's been in, that would have not been surprising if it was a tie or even a Liverpool loss. But Tottenham choked like usual. Liverpool were dominant, even if they got scored on. The 3 goals were still really nice. Mane and Trent Alexander-Arnold looked great in that game. Another one I want to mention is Arsenal and Manchester United. They played a boring draw, 0-0. Another game United really needed to win, but they choked. There was a really fun game, was Leeds and Leicester City. Leeds United beat Leicester 3-1. Leeds is a very odd team. They love to play open soccer and free-flowing. That means they usually score a lot of goals or get scored on a lot. And a big game for Calvin was Newcastle actually getting a win over Everton, 2-0. Callum Wilson was a man in the match right there.
Yeah, that's
for sure.
That is a big result, but then they also lost today to Crystal Palace 2-1 after scoring in the second minute. So
Big John
just
just showed.
Excited on them. Maybe we won't get relegated this season.
Nah, I don't think y'all will get relegated at all. Tottenham's been on a horrible streak after the Liverpool loss. Brighton beat Tottenham 1-0, which is embarrassing. And then Manchester City beat Sheffield United over the weekend 1-0. Jesus scored, which that puts them in the number 1 position on the league. Number 2 is Man United. Number 3 is Liverpool. Number 4 is Leicester. Speaking of Man United, today they killed Southampton 9-0. Southampton got a very quick red card in like the second minute. I saw the replay. It looks like it was pretty much a red card. And yeah, Southampton, they're a mess. And to end it, we'll go to La Liga. A big game was Villarreal and Real Sociedad. Both, they're on the upper half of the table, and they played a boring tie 1-1. what the heck is going on with Real Madrid to switch it up? They get a red card very early in the match. It was Eder Militao with a stupid challenge, and they lose to Levante 2-1. That's embarrassing from Real Madrid, but it's almost expected. Like, as I mentioned, Liverpool, they haven't been looking the best. Real Madrid looks horrible right now, at least to the standards that Real Madrid should be at. Shout out to their goalie Courtois, though. He made a good penalty save, which he should. Well, not necessarily. Penalties are hard to save, but he's such a good goalie. Barcelona were looking to get revenge against Athletic Club, or Athletic Bilbao, however you want to call them. And Barcelona won 2-1. Beautiful free kick from Messi. That might be one of my favorite free kicks he's hit because Athletic Bilbao tried to do everything to stop it. They had guys on the ground. They had guys running back to the goal to try to head it out. It was beautiful from Messi. But they're not even in first place. That has to go to my boys, Atletico Madrid. They played against Cadiz. Cadiz has been a very interesting team. They came up from the second division this year, and they beat Real Madrid and Barcelona. Some would call them like the giant slayers or like monster killers or whatever. Atletico did not succumb to that. They won 4-2. Luis Suarez has been in an impressive form. Barcelona should be kicking themselves that they got rid of him and gave him to Atletico. And with that win, Atletico is 10 points ahead in first place. Second place is Barcelona. Third place is Real Madrid. Fourth place is Sevilla. And we're almost wrapped up with soccer. Last thing I want to mention is that the transfer window officially closed for the winter. The only big transfers that happened was Alejandro Papu Gomez went from Atalanta to Sevilla, so that's Italy to Spain. There's rumors that he could go anywhere. Some people were saying an MLS team, I think it was Cincinnati. That would have been crazy if that happened. He's an incredible player. It's too bad what happened at Atalanta. It was pretty much just he had some beef with the coach there, and the club took the coach's side and not the player's side. Martin Odegaard, he's a young player from Real Madrid. He went on loan to Arsenal. And Luka Jovic, another player from Real Madrid, I believe he went on loan back to his old club at Eintracht Frankfurt, which is crazy. Luka Jovic was incredible there before he went to Madrid, goes to Madrid, does horrible, and now he's back in Frankfurt, and he's already scored a bunch of goals. So, yeah. Calvin, what do you have to say?
The last thing we're going to talk about tonight is the U.S. men's national team played a friendly against, brace yourselves, Trinidad and Tobago. Or Tobago, not really sure which it is.
Who?
It's a country, Bryce.
It's
basically an island.
It's a country.
It's a country that almost doesn't exist.
Pretty much. And
that was my point.
for historical context, Bryce, everybody who
Okay.
is a fan of the men's team in here is going to be sad. The U.S. men's team only had to beat Trinidad, who is a terrible, terrible team in comparison to most of the world.
It's not their fault, by the way. They're just a small nation. Like,
Yeah,
what are
it's
they
just a
supposed
small
to do?
nation. They don't really have a large pool of
I
players to
wouldn't blame
choose
them.
from. It's just how it is. All we had to do was beat them to make it to the World Cup. I believe, what was it, 2020?
We didn't even have to beat them. All we had to do was tie them.
All we had to do was tie them, just not lose to this tiny team. And the U.S. men's team choked, and we missed out on even going to the World Cup. Which, frankly, shows that we shouldn't have been there. Anyways, so this game...
That's terrible.
We've already beaten them once before in the Gold Cup last year, I believe, maybe the year before. So we already got our revenge, but, every time we play them, it's just a little bit of a unnerving experience. We opened up the scoring in the second minute, and it just continued for the rest of the game. The U.S. team won 7-0 with 2-goal performances from Jonathan Lewis of the Colorado Rapids, Jesus Ferreira of FC Dallas, and Paul Arriola, who was formerly of DC United, now on loan to Swansea City.
Yes.
In a little move right before the transfer window closed. And there's one goal not accounted for in there. That's Miles Robinson of Atlanta United. Scored a header on a kick from the outside. Just a pretty basic thing. I do have to highlight Jesus Ferreira in this game because he not only scored 2 goals, but he racked up 3 assists in the game as well. That is 5 goal contributions in one game. I understand it's Trinidad and Tobago, but you got to remember, not too long ago, we were getting beat by a team like this. So it's very heartening for U.S. fans, especially from a squad that was mostly MLS-based. it's very heartening to see these kinds of performances, even in our lower ranks. That's all I've got for tonight, though.
I agree 100%. I'm glad to see Atlanta boys scoring, especially for the national team. Almost done. Got one more thing to say, and that is the upcoming games this week. The two really important ones, in my opinion, is one in Serie A on February 6th. It's Juventus versus Roma. That's third and fourth place in the league. I honestly hope Roma wins, but I think Juventus sort of has this one. And then what some people would say the biggest game of this week, and probably the biggest game this month besides Champions League, which comes up later, it's in the Premier League, February 7th at 10:30 a.m., our time at least, Liverpool versus Manchester City. I'm a City fan. Calvin's a Liverpool fan. If Manchester City chokes and loses, I don't think I'll hear the end of it.
Oh, no, definitely not.
Yeah. So I'm very stressed out about that, but that will be a very exciting game to watch. So that's about it from us at Sports Banner. See y'all later.